And we are back. And we just finished watching 2022's The Menu, which is currently streaming on HBO Max, but it seems like it's also still playing in theaters.
Okay. I thought it was done in theaters.
No, I mean, according to IMDb, it says you can still get Showtime tickets. So it's weird when it does that, right? Because it's like, why the hell am I going to go out in the cold and watch a movie when I could just watch it on Max?
Gets HBO Max. I mean, we got ours. The only reason why we have it is because it came with our cable package or something like that, or our internet package.
Yeah, I guess. This was an interesting movie watching experience.
Yeah,
I think there's definitely a lot of commentary here about the pretentiousness, I guess, of fine dining.
It's just fine dining that it's. I thought it was interesting when she says, "You don't cook with love, you cook with obsession." And he really, you could tell that hurt him. That hit him. Yeah. And she picked, and it was interesting how you could see when she sees his private life or the photos of his private life, the biggest smile on his face is when he's in that little place
in a fast food joint. Yeah, making a burger,
making a hamburger.
I think definitely this is satire, not on the level of something like Tropic Thunder, but there were some funny bits. There were some cringy bits.
Yeah,
there were some,
and you can't really
horrific bits.
There's some horrific bits, and you can't. One thing I noticed, or I would say one thing that stuck with me was I don't think everybody should have
the assistant.
Yeah, like the assistant or
the wife.
Or the wife.
Yeah,
and it was just it was because I forgot what Ray Fiennes' character's name was.
Chef Julian Skull or.
Something like that. The chef, let's just call him Chef. Chef was insane.
Slowik.
Chef Slowik was completely insane.
Deranged.
Yeah.
Just
and
nuts.
It wasn't even he gave some kind of justification for it, but okay, you have justification against so and so and so and so and so and so, but some people, I don't know. We're kind of spoiling the hell out of this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like it's on Max, so it's easily accessible.
It's on Max.
So if you haven't seen it,
I think we gotta. Yeah, there's no way we could talk about this without spoiling it. Because it gets right. I mean, it gets pretty much right into it. Probably by the end of the first act, you know what's going to
happen. Yeah, and it's crazy. And it's funny. I just watched Men and Chicken again for film discussion group. And it was interesting how that movie wove so many different genres together.
Mm-hmm.
And this one sort of does that in a way. Not as well as Men and Chicken, I don't think. But it was interesting. Just the satire, the elements of horror. And even I turned to you at one point and I was like, the music in this reminds me of Hereditary. It's got that vibe.
Especially at the end.
Yes. Yeah. When you're
when
coming
towards
the end of the evening.
When you sort of see the ceremony, it almost becomes ceremonial,
yes,
almost like Midsommar.
Yes. 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 And they all
very similar to the
and it was interesting because there's also another scene where he basically says to them, you guys really didn't fight hard to get off this island.
Yeah, that was one thing that also kind of by the end, it was sort of
they almost accepted fate.
it. They weren't going to do anything. And even the people who I really don't feel belong there
kind of were
kind of just resigned to it or accepting of it. It's strange. I mean, those people were invited.
Yes.
Yeah, very.
But were they paying for sins by association? You find out the whole not having student loan girl. You come to find out that she's done something bad.
Yeah, but she's doing it bad to somebody he knew it was happening, and he was also just
okay with it.
Basically, he was just a superficial Hollywood star. I mean, everybody in this film. Well, almost everybody in this film is a very broad stereotype or caricature of some loathsome aspect of superficial society.
Right. You have the food critic.
You have the foodie guy who's just talking about mouthfeel and whatever, and just worships the ground that the chef walks on.
Yeah.
And there's the three, I guess they're like
tech
bros or Wall Street bros who are just like, yeah, don't you know who we are?
Yeah.
That, and then there's the superficial actor who's trying to parlay this into some sort of like, I'm going to go around the world eating. And then that food critic with her just completely obsequious yes man who's he's just waiting for her to say something so that he could agree with it so wholeheartedly.
Yeah. Because there was one scene towards the beginning where he says something and she sort of contradicts him, and he's like, oh, yeah, of course, you're right, kind of thing. And I was like, oh, my God, can you have your own opinion? Jeez.
No opinion. This guy was just made to just suckle at that lady's butt cheeks. And then there was the business guy who I guess was cheating on his wife. He seemed they were like regular customers.
Like
I guess he just hated them because he could see that they did not appreciate what he was doing.
Right.
Or at least he didn't. I mean, the wife was just sort of
a drunk.
She was a drunk who was along for the ride.
And she probably knew that he cheated on her.
Yeah, I mean, she seemed to know.
She confronts Margot in a way, and she's like,
yeah.
So you know my husband.
Yeah. And all of these people are just, I mean, well, I would say 90% of those people were just terrible people.
Yes.
I didn't think the assistant really belonged there, and I guess the wife.
Well, does the wife...
Is she there for being an enabler?
Possibly.
I mean, even in that case, she's
or
still
even
kind of a victim of her circumstance.
But also, she doesn't... It's almost like she's co-signing on his bad behavior because she doesn't want to give up that life that she's accustomed to.
Yeah.
So she'll just drink herself.
Yeah, she'll just drink to numb the pain of a loveless marriage.
So is Chef judging her on that?
Maybe, but I guess that just adds to the fact that he is psychotic. He's a lunatic, that he has no mercy for anybody.
Right.
You're guilty by association.
Right.
Whether you're really just a scumbag or not.
And it was funny because towards the end, it feeds into the horror trope of the last girl standing, right?
Yeah, the final girl horror trope. Yeah, that's in there. Yeah. But unlike most things, she doesn't have to battle her way out. She uses her head. Yeah. Which was nice.
Yeah.
She figured out how to get under Chef's skin or get into Chef to enable her to leave.
Yeah.
I
think he also kind of...
in a way, he respected her because she basically had roughly the same sort of origin he did. A poor person who liked to serve, who had a job serving these people who don't really appreciate anything. Mm-hmm. I mean, hers was a different profession.
Sure.
But she's still serving people and basically being used. Mm-hmm. And I guess it's soul crushing. I mean, I guess for Chef, it's soul crushing when you're
putting everything of yourself.
Yeah, the thing you love, the thing that you're putting yourself into so much is, as he said, being turned to shit, literally in the stomachs of people who can't even remember it. You've been here 11 times. Do you remember a single meal you've had? And especially in this place where there is such pomp and circumstance surrounding every single course of the meal.
Yeah. It felt like it could be kind of an indictment of so many things, not just fine dining. I mean,
I feel like the fine dining was just sort of a metaphor for basically the superficial or the idolization of just superficial people. Like I said, the big star, the tech bros it's just all about the bottom line and screwing people, and Cayman Island accounts, and film or food critics who are just there to be superior to the what they're judging. Oh, I made you. Remember when I made you? And just waiting for that instance to tear that down. Oh, the emulsion is separating.
It shouldn't do that.
It shouldn't do that at a level. At this high a level
of a restaurant, yeah.
And then there's the food guy who is just
He is like
Nicholas
idol.
Hoult. He's excellent in his role, but he is just you just want to
idol worship.
Yeah, seriously, Margot should have just been smacking him constantly. Just shut up already with this. This is such pretentious bullshit.
Yeah.
Which it was. I mean, you saw those meals. Yeah. It's your bread plate with no bread. Yeah. And like the sauces were, the sauces provided were these little dimples of filled with.
You know what it looked like? It looked like when we would buy the kids like little craft kits. Like the little thing to put the paint in.
To put the paint in.
It was like an eyedropper of liquid in each little
or like
indentation.
this little like, poop emoji looking thing of like white cream or black cream.
Yes.
It was, and then the thing with the scallop, it was just like a rock with a scallop sitting on top of it and then random greenery. Flowers and greenery around it. The only thing that looked good was the chicken thigh.
Yes, that did look good.
That looked tasty.
And the burger.
Oh, and the burger. The burger looked absolutely delicious.
The burger. I was like, that burger looked badass.
Yeah. Chef knew how to cook a burger.
Yeah. Why didn't he just open up a burger joint?
He
probably would have had more. Yeah, he would have been happier.
More fulfilled. He would have seen true happiness on people's faces who eat without pretension. Yeah, I think that was like one of his. You're here because you think, oh, I ate at this place. Right. I ate at the Hawthorne.
Yeah.
You don't really care about the food. You just want to let people know that you were here.
Right. And that was definitely the case for the movie star and the rich couple and the tech bros and even to some extent Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, he was photographing everything, even though he was specifically told not to photograph anything.
And then there was something very Svengali-ish about this chef.
There must have been if everybody was willing to go along with this thing.
But even with the guests, I mean, it was like, were they drugged at that point? I mean,
I think when you worship somebody so much, or you give somebody that much power and influence, you just
sort of go along.
You just sort of go along with this. I mean, he was the master of that domain there. Mm-hmm. He'd come out, he'd clap his hands violently, and everybody would have to snap to attention, guests included. Yeah. And listen to him pontificate about whatever the hell it was they were feeding everybody. Yeah. Even the disturbing stuff. Yeah. I mean, he's like, I forgot what they were serving at that particular point in time, but he's talking about his dad strangling his mother with a phone cord.
Yeah, yeah.
And his mother was there his mother was just getting shit-faced the
Taco
entire,
Tuesday.
Yeah,
that was the
Taco
whole
Tuesday. Yes.
Chicken with the little fajita bread.
Scissors in it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, he held sway over that. I mean, those people, they lived in barracks.
Yeah.
He had his little house off to the side, but they lived in barracks.
But even when you see the inside of his house, it's like...
His house was just a replication of the dining room floor. I think the only personal room was what was behind the silver door. And it was just like personal photos. It wasn't even anything extravagant or luxurious of any kind.
I wonder what happened to his family. Did he drive his wife away?
That was an interesting little tidbit that it looked like he had a wife and child. At some point.
Yeah.
Maybe
but they don't really go into it.
It didn't matter. Maybe it was like the food was meant more.
Another thing, when we were watching this, I thought about Pig, because Nicolas Cage's character is a chef who gives up that kind of rock and roll status because he's had a personal tragedy. So I wondered too, like, would he have done this if his daughter still existed, if his wife still existed? Maybe they were no longer around.
Maybe, or maybe, like Margot said, he just became so obsessed with food that they didn't matter anymore. It was just all about creating perfect cuisine. And he was just devastated that there wasn't a person alive that could truly appreciate it. It was like he looked too far to see that the simplest things are the things the simplest things carry the most weight. A simple cheeseburger to a person who's not looking for status, looking for people to be jealous of them on Instagram or Twitter or social media of some kind. Just, I'm a regular person and I want a cheeseburger.
Right.
And that was
Margot.
That was love. You could see when he's making it. It's the only time he ever smiled.
Yeah.
Like you saw, there was joy in
Yeah.
the creation of that.
Well, and just the other stuff, he wasn't really involved. He was involved in
he stood
coaching
over.
and standing over and giving directions, but he wasn't involved in the actual cooking of anything.
Not at all. Yeah. Everybody was meticulously placing things with tweezers, and he stood in the background. I think at one point he was just sweeping.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's when Margot makes her stand.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he's sweeping.
Yeah. She's like, I didn't like any of this stuff.
Yeah.
I want to send it back.
Yeah.
Which is very smart on her part.
Yeah.
And it was something that she, I guess, picked up from Tyler, because he was just like, you don't say stuff like that.
Yeah.
Not to this guy. He's like God.
Yeah. And then, so I'm glad you brought Tyler up again. So the whole Svengali thing, I wonder, I mean, obviously it's going to be speculation because we'll never know, but I wonder what Chef said to him to lead him to do what he does. I'm going to not say this to not spoil that part of the story, but.
I mean, he knew what he was doing. He destroyed him. He gave him everything he wanted. He gave him that chef jacket. He said, you're a cook. You're a cook. And you'd think Tyler, with all of his knowledge of umami and mouthfeel and
I've seen his videos.
I've studied him. I've worshipped that. I've been in correspondence with him for like, what did he say? 8 weeks or 8 months. He knew what was going to happen. And he's like, he's basically like, I am being acknowledged by my God here. And your God says, impress me. Show me that you have show me what you could do with all of this amazing knowledge that you have, that you have learned from me and whatnot. And what was the recipe name? Tyler's bullshit.
Yes.
I love the title cards for the food, because it was like everything else is like beautifully like described. Oh yes, scallops with some strange word and foam and all of that. Crystallized seawater that will melt on
yes.
And then it's just Tyler's bullshit.
Yeah.
Undercooked lamb.
Yes. Amazing. And
I think when he whispered in Tyler's ear, it was just he probably just didn't even have to say it. He's like, you know what you did. You know what you have to do now, right?
Burn them all, Ralphie.
And he failed his God. And what do you do when you fail your God? You
fill in the blanks.
Fill in the blanks there.
Yeah, I mean, this movie, it's funny because it's like you really could look at it in so many different levels. But I think a lot of it is that consumption, the artist and the art, right? Obsession. These are very overall themes. And you could see that in a lot of the things that or a lot of the people or the guests that I guess represented, right? You have the businessmen, money, power, prestige. The wife, right? She co-signs on all his bad behavior because she's accustomed to this life, and she's certainly not giving it up.
Yeah, she's basically sold whatever soul she had to just live the life that she was having.
Right. You have the food critic who basically can make or break people with a word, and probably in later years has bought into her own hype, right?
Yeah. And
she
I'm
definitely,
sure for her it's like a power trip to basically be like, I made this guy, he is the god of cooking, and I and only I have the words and power to take him down some notches.
Right.
So it was definitely a power trip, and he said that he invited her, so it even made her head swell even more.
Bigger, right?
Because
it was like, it was a personal invitation from, And then you have the celebrity who, in this case, I guess, sells out for a paycheck.
Yeah, and he was going to use the fact that he dined there as, I guess, a stepping stone towards having his own show, giving himself some sort of credibility as a guy who, I just love high dining, and I'm personal friends with the chef,
which he said,
which
even
he told
though that
everybody,
was a lie,
which was absolute horseshit.
Yeah, and then like the tech bros, which was kind of an interesting dynamic,
who were just there because they could be, and because their boss was the guy who actually owned everything,
right? Who, management changed hands. I love that little line that he throws out there. Yeah, so it was interesting because it was like there's very broad themes here, obviously, but you could apply it to so much at the same time. So yeah, I mean, I really liked it. I don't think this movie is for everybody.
I don't think it's for everybody. I do think it's pretty entertaining.
I enjoyed it a lot too.
It is. You could even view it as a very, very dark comedy. There are humorous bits to it. There are horrible bits to it. There's nothing super graphic about it.
No.
Yeah, there's violence.
Yes.
But nothing like I was thinking, somebody's going to get eaten or something like that.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that in there.
I thought that was going to happen too. I thought when something happened that person was going to wind up on the menu.
Yeah, I thought something like that would happen.
But that didn't happen. But I mean, still, all in all, really good. I think a really good social commentary. Yeah. The performances were amazing. Reiss Fiennes is wow. He is spectacular in this.
He could be absolutely creepy, that guy.
Absolutely terrifying.
I noticed there's like a lot of bits where he's like smiling as he's talking, but his mouth isn't really moving much, but you see all of his top teeth.
Yeah. And his eyes are dead.
And his he has like the coldest eyes.
Yes.
But then at the cheeseburger bit, you see it breaking.
Yes,
you see
his
facade
humanity.
breaking. You see the smile. You see him when he gives it to her. He's waiting. He's like he's seeing that approval, and one thing about him, he could read people like a book.
Yeah.
That's another thing. He's like, I know who you are, or I know that you're not who you say you are.
Right.
And he's right. And it's just because he's able to read people, and he could read that, she was telling the truth when she's like, that is an awesome cheeseburger.
Yeah.
And I think that's why when she followed up with that other request, he was just like, okay, give us a moment.
Yeah.
And
can I take the rest to go?
Yeah.
Nicholas Hoult too. Jeez.
Nicholas Hoult was great. He was, you just want to smack the hell out of him.
Yeah. I was like, wow.
The tech bros were super douchey.
Yes. But back to Nicholas Hoult really quick. Just, we went to see About a Boy in the theaters.
Yeah. He was a little kid.
He was a little baby.
We're old. Don't remind me.
But, I couldn't think of anyone that could do this better than Reiss Fiennes. Reiss Fiennes was just absolutely amazing in this. Absolutely amazing. Just, wow. Like, what a crazy performance. I mean, I hope he gets nominated for something. I don't think he'll win, but who knows. But Anya Taylor-Joy, also fantastic.
She's always great.
Yeah, she's probably one of the better actresses coming up right about now.
Yeah.
It was nice to see, what's her name, Judith Light.
Yeah, I haven't seen her since what? Who's the Boss or something?
Well, no, she's done. I feel like, doesn't she play like a judge on Law and Order or something? Or she's done bit roles here and there. She's done some theater.
Yeah, she's become like a character actress.
Yeah, but it's always nice to see her. I think
for me, she's always the mom on Who's the Boss.
On Who's the Boss, absolutely.
Showing us once again we're old.
John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo is good in it.
Kind of a jerk, but good.
Kind of a jerk, but not terrible. Like I've seen characters play, but characters like that, the superficial actor guy, played way worse.
Right.
Like doing way worse things.
Like Justin Long in Barbarian.
Yeah. Yes. He wasn't Justin Long in Barbarian.
No. Like that guy should have been on the island.
Yeah, that was the thing. They kept, these people are like superficial stereotypes, but they kept them a bit more grounded.
Yes,
it
reality. It was definitely in the realm of reality.
They're still annoying. They're still terrible people, but they're not like cartoon characters.
Yeah. And then Judith Light's husband was Reed Birney, who we recently saw in that movie Mass, who was married to Ann Dowd's character.
Yes.
He was good, even though he didn't really have a big part.
He didn't have a big part. Yeah, I think I would have preferred somebody a bit
more reprehensible.
Although, like that guy, he always seems sad to me.
He does. Although, was it me or was it creepy that he wanted Margot to be his daughter? I'm like, what?
That line was a bit odd.
That was a bit odd. It's like, so you want to screw your daughter? What are you, Trump?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he had that kind of relationship with her. Maybe that's why the daughter wasn't around anymore. I don't know, but
yeah.
Who else? Elsa.
Oh my God.
Elsa was terrifying.
Yeah.
Elsa was terrifying.
She was like a drill sergeant.
Jesus. Remember when she's talking to the tech bros like, it is a fajita. What did she keep saying? And it is delicious.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, please sit down before she stabs you in the neck.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Elsa was a little jealous of Margot?
When he told her to go get that stuff, yeah.
Right.
Because he did that on purpose. Yeah. She even says, he never told me to get a barrel of whatever the hell that stuff was.
Yeah.
So Elsa knew that he was like, he
bringing
basically set that whole, no, not bringing it in, but I guess it was just sort of a loyalty test. Mm-hmm. And he knew that she would try and do what she did, but I don't know if Elsa realized that it was supposed to be a loyalty test. So she went out on her own to do what she did.
Yeah. Just top to bottom, really well done. I didn't feel like any character was wasted. I mean, everyone got their little moment of something. The ending was hella wild. Wild. It definitely had shades of Ari Aster in it. It was crazy.
A little, yeah.
And it was very smartly written, very interesting, very weird. Like even G was like, we watched this with our oldest, and G was like, this was nuts.
When she wasn't Mario Karting.
Yes, when she wasn't Mario Karting. But still, I think she saw enough of it or heard enough of it to be like,
she thought, my parents watching? What she did, she popped her head up for the very weird bits.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So what do you give this?
I'm going to give this an 8.5. I really, really enjoyed it.
I will give this
less, I bet.
Yeah, I'll definitely give it a less. I'll give it an 8.
An 8? Okay. I thought you were going to go down to 7.
No, I was thinking 7.5, but I did enjoy this. So
the performances are spectacular.
The performances are great. It looks beautiful.
It looks beautiful. Yes, absolutely.
And Ray, I think what gives it an 8 is Ray Fiennes.
Yes, Ray Fiennes is
outstanding.
Outstanding. Yeah. I would have. I mean, obviously, there's not going to be a sequel, but it would have been interesting to get more of his backstory.
I like that we didn't.
Yeah.
I like that we just got what we did. I like that we saw pictures of his past, and it led us to question things, which leads us to sort of try and fill in the blanks, trying to explain why he's doing the things that he's doing. And I don't want to know, and I hope that there's no attempt to make a prequel or anything. I like this as a nice one-and-done little piece. Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. I mean, if this did like Smile numbers, you'd know there'd have to be a prequel or a sequel.
Yeah, I don't think this did, but
I don't think this did either.
Yeah.
I felt like a lot of people that reviewed it were like, what the hell did I just watch? But to the point where they were like, I didn't really enjoy this.
I enjoyed this.
I enjoyed this a lot.
This was the cheeseburger. I don't try and look for high art here. It has a message there, but at the end of the day, you're just supposed to enjoy it. Take it for what it's worth. There were some funny bits in it. There's some horror bits in it, and I mean, hey, Will Ferrell is a producer.
It's still weird seeing his name on that. It's like, you produced this? I expect him to produce more comedies, but this was like, I mean, again, there were comedic elements to it, but it wasn't a comedy.
No. If you would say it was a comedy, it's super dark.
Yeah.
You know.
Very, All right. Okay. So 8.5. If you haven't seen it, absolutely. And if you have HBO Max, go check it out. It doesn't cost anything to just, you're already paying for a subscription, so you might as well just kick back, relax, turn it on, and tune in and enjoy. Yeah, I think this works on a lot of levels, but I agree with you too. You can just take it at face value and just enjoy it. Just go in for the ride. It's very interesting from where it starts to where it ends. Again, if you haven't checked it out, go check out The Menu on HBO Max. Still playing in theaters. It is rated R with a runtime of 1 hour and 47 minutes. And directed by Mark Mylod with screenplay credits to Will Tracy and Seth Reiss. Yeah, I definitely would recommend this. Go check it out. And that's it from us, and we will bid you all a good night.
Good night.